Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session with myself, Owen, Ben, and Melissa. We all work in different things, but we join together for something called ELT Sustainable. And today we're talking about practical ways to bring sustainability and green issues into the language classroom. We'll start with Ben. Over to you.
Okay. Are you sharing the screen, Owen?
Sharing in just a sec.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here with you this morning. So as Owen said, I'm Ben Crompton. I'm a teacher and trainer based in Jaén province in southern Spain. Now, an aspect of green ELT that I am especially interested in is finding ways to keep sustainable issues in my ELT classroom student-centered. Now, by this, I mean, if you look at green topics in ELT course materials, you'll find that there's a polar bear problem. Owen, could you open point number 1?
Yeah.
Cool. So there's a polar bear problem. Green topics are often tied up in neat throwaway units. So you'll get things like that great Pacific garbage patch, you know, the island of plastic in the Pacific Ocean, and that'll come neatly packaged with conditional structures. Or maybe you'll get litter and pollution with modal verbs, or endangered animals and the polar bear, perhaps with comparatives and superlatives. Now, these are probably perfectly good vehicles for modeling language, but our students simply cannot relate the plight of the polar bear to their everyday lives. And so I don't think these are particularly good vehicles for raising a sustainability debate in my class, or for motivating my learners to become active in it outside of class. I think the key to engaging our learners with green issues is to connect those issues to their lives. So, for example, most of my students here in Jaén, or their families, they earn a living from growing olives and oil production. To give you a little bit of background, Jaén province, which is just a wee bit smaller than Northern Ireland, it's the world's #1 producer of olive oil. It's bigger than Italy, bigger than Greece, bigger than the whole of China. But it's a really hard industry. And that raises issues, environmental issues of water shortages, GM production, intensive farming, soil erosion. These are not glossy environmental issues that would look good in a textbook, but they do matter to my learners. And if I'm tapping into those issues, I've got a much higher chance of being able to engage my students with the green issues because the topic is relatable to them. So here on the screen, you can see it. It's an example of a traditional communicative activity that I've given a student-centered green twist. So listening to what my students have spoken about and what I know about them, I've created this Find Someone Who task. It's based on the issues that they care about, and it's a way that I can make sustainability become the heart of communication in my lesson. And it means that I can engage my learners with sustainable issues about them, not about abstract topics that they can't really relate to. Later on in the session, Owen's going to talk about ways of hacking a topic. I'm going to give you a couple of tasters. My tips for starters: the next time you come to plan a lesson with an environmental or sustainable focus, ask yourself if the issue connects with your learners. If it does, great, good, go with it. If it doesn't, adapt it. And secondly, exploit opportunities to discuss green issues that your students might care about. So have you got a topic on food coming up? Well, then in preparation, have learners investigate the environmental impact of their favorite snack. Maybe you've just done a listening on clothes and appearances. Well, as a follow-up, ask students what they think about fast fashion or clothes pollution. A teacher I've been working with recently used to work in the denim industry. Now, to get those jeans to go blue, they use a mountain of dye. Where do you think the dye goes afterwards? It's shocking, but it's relatable to our students, and it's the kind of thing that is going to connect to them. Now, if you're here listening to this, there's probably a good chance that you're doing this already, but your colleagues in your schools and in your networks, they might be about to start. And as green ELT grows, as more people in our teaching communities begin to engage with it, it's more important than ever that we support each other to make sure the sustainability debate is relatable and relevant to our learners. Otherwise, we've got a polar bear problem. Okay, on to Militza, I think. You're muted.
So again, sorry for being muted. And before we start, I just want to tell you, if you didn't notice, I was 3 minutes late. It's unexcusable, and I will tell you why. A piece of equipment for my experiment was missing. Equipment. So I broke my first rule, and the rule says check, 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 check. So if you're doing experiments, don't do this. I just want to point out that I made a very rookie mistake today. It happens. Okay, so now we can start. Can somebody click on the little plus for me in the outdoor learning? Thank you for discussing. Okay, yes, it's not working. Can you, what is going on? That's not supposed to pop up. There should be a video. Can you click on the letters, please? Let's check what's going on. Yes, thank you. Okay, so we have a very, very important question. After Ben's discussion about context and doing what is connected to your learners, we're continuing to outdoor learning. Why? Because we're taking them to their closest environment. I think that's pretty logical. Can you please click on the letters again? Because I have some steps on the letters. Yes. Okay, so some of the steps, I'm going to be very on point. Some of the steps include exploration. So please make sure before you go. Okay, can I please get, could I please get the mouse so I can actually use the presentation? I think there was an edit that I didn't do. Thank you so much. Can you please let me use it? There were some very important steps in the video. Okay, thank you so much. Okay, I'm taking over Ovain's screen. So let's give it a wait. The link you just opened is a material. So if you never took your students outside, I made this outdoor worksheet, which you can print out and give it to students without any effort, because we know that can be scary. So as I said, before going out, explore your surroundings. So each day, after taking them somewhere, go there yourself alone, explore. Is it safe? Can you take your students there? Is it easily approachable? Would parents approve? Yes, that can be a problem. Sometimes I wanted to take children somewhere. The water was too deep next to the river. Actually, there was a lot of medical waste in one beautiful location, so I had to switch for another one. So please don't just take students before going there. This is a safety problem. Next, see what the outdoor lesson itself can offer and develop your lesson around the natural surroundings. Don't sit at home and typey, just make a perfect lesson that doesn't work in reality, just like Ben said. Don't make the polar bear, please. Go there and see what does this location can offer. What can it offer? For example, in my case, it was a little piece of Danube, you know, the big river in Europe. And this piece was a little bit swampy, as the kids named it. It had a lot of trees, it had fallen trees. It was clean, but it had some trash. We can work something with that. And also, the water was very shallow. So we had access to the river, but again, we could play safely. Then, give a lot of choice in terms of activities. Give them a choice. So it's not a lesson. If you take them outdoors and explore, bear in mind that they will find things that are not in your lesson plan. They always find it. It's nature. For example, we had a girl who unfortunately crushed, how do we call the ant? It's not an ant farm. The ant house. Okay, now I feel silly because I didn't study biology. And hail. Yes, thank you so much. One girl got so scared and crushed it. It was a sad thing. It was really sad. I almost cried, but it was a way to discuss why not do this? Why are ants important? Why shouldn't we crush them? That was another just very natural point in the lesson. Then provide chances of exploration and experimenting. For example, as I showed you, this outdoor research on the stream is a paper which gives the students the chance to explore surroundings, analyze, and collect. Let me just accept these cookies. I'm sorry, it's a legal thing. So in this exploration, the students had to explore. What was the task? The task was to find and collect things. Number one, collect some remains of plants. Collect anything that maybe is a sign of animal, for example, a shell. Collect or just tell us where it is. Don't touch it. And the kids saw a lot of cigarette butts, which was annoying. There were a lot of them next to the river. And I think that was the biggest trace of humans we actually found that day. And you can see them here writing on top of each other, which I think is another great thing because you don't have the tables, you don't have anything. So the kids start collaborating and writing on each other. And it's very, very, very nice to see them do this. Now, final tip before we show you the video. And please, Owain, remind me of the time because I am not supposed to talk more than 6 minutes, as you know. Let me just go back to the presentation. It's opening a bit slowly. Thank you so much. So start by using a low prep activities. Okay, I'm sorry for turning off the presentation. Please put it back. So low prep activities can include exploration, checking anything in the environment. For example, because we were on the river, we also went and we measured the depth, the speed, and we also did a little water experiment. Other than that, other than the research and measurement, we were having fun. Honestly, I let them climb everywhere. I let them sit on trees. They were sitting on a tree and I was talking to them like this with my head up. So it's very, as we preschool teachers say it, the curriculum is very open. So don't be afraid to do a low prep and enjoy. I think there's a point of outdoor learning to also breathe in everything around you. I don't know, what do you say? Can we get some comments in the chat box while we get the presentation back? And I think I am finished. And I want to show you the video if you're interested. Owain, can we get it back, please? I'm sorry for turning it off. I'm going to cease controlling your screen. And while you bring it back, should I continue to the experiment in order not to waste time? What do you say? Just
Carry on. Yes.
carry on. Okay, so that was quick. We have very little time, and now we're going to have even less time, but it doesn't matter. That's all normal. So let's start the experiment. I am going to be your moderator. You're all my students. So if I act and talk to you as students, you know why. Let's give it a start, just as I did before. First, a little bit of dramatization. So hello, everyone. Today, we have something special. We have another person coming, and this person is called Alice, the scientist. So Alice, the scientist, is visiting your class, and she has something to do. So she has a lab coat, right? And she's getting ready to show you something, okay, to make it more sciencey. No offense to people who actually can't see. I can see as well, but this is just a drama effect. Okay, so welcome, kids. Today in this experiment, I have a little friend. This is my friend from preschool. Her name constantly changes. Today she's Anita. I don't know why she's Anita today. So Anita has a problem. Are you ready to listen to her problem? Can I see some yeses in the chat box, please? Ready? See her problem? Something is going on in the forest and Anita is not happy about it. Okay, so let's see. Hello, kids. Yesterday, I was walking and I wanted to drink some water, but when I got there, the water was brown. You know the color brown? Oh, I know. So I have an idea. Can you help me fix it? Anita went to take something. So while Anita is gone, I think we can help her, right? So let's see. How can we filter water? Now, tips for teachers. I'm going to show you one picture because I have two setups. One is for an easy experiment and another one is with the charcoal. We know that the charcoal and all of the gravel and rocks, that's kind of complex for preschool learners, right? They don't know what is that. They even don't understand activated charcoal. So I have a simple version and a complex one. And in the end, we have the big filter. I'm going to show you to do simples. One, let's do it. Okay, so let's put a little bit of dirt here, right? Okay. Sorry, pardon me. We're not putting the dirt here. Sorry, kids. We're putting the dirt here in our foresty water. And let's see, okay. So we're going to wait for the dirt to show up. And we have 3 filters, very simple. So let's see. Is the water going to be clean if we put it through a cloth? This is a piece of fabric. So let's see what's going to happen. And yes, we see we have a problem. Okay, so what is going to happen if the water passes through this? Is it going to be normal? Not exactly. Okay, that doesn't work. So can we try another material? This material is called cardboard and we use it in crafting. Let me just put it. It's kind of resisting my attempts to be put inside. And let's see. What is going to happen? Is it going to filter something? Oh, it's better, right? Yeah, I want a coffee as well. It's better, right? Okay, a little bit better. I think the paper is doing something. Yes, and in the end, let's use this little green car. We know cars are not that green, but this one is. So let's put this car. Let's put it in the cup and let's see what is going to happen. It's going to get a little bit wider. Am I spilling water on my computer? Yes, I am. Oops. Okay, let's do this. Let's do like this. Be careful. You don't want to break your computer and cause an accident. No, actually, this is worse. Look at all of the little pieces of dirt here. This is not working. So let's do the other version very quickly. So this is getting complicated. I'm going to bring my Anita and she's going to show you. 4 minutes. Thank you. Okay, I can be faster. Oh, so nothing works. Okay, I have an idea. Can you use activated charcoal? Do you know what is activated charcoal? Okay, so as a scientist, I know. I'm going to tell you. So this little black thing doesn't smell, looks very black, and this is the same thing that you can drink if your tummy hurts. So you feel better. I hope that's true. I hope I didn't make a health mistake there. Sorry, ignore it. So let's do this. Okay, so we have this thing from the bathroom. How do we call it? Does anybody know? Who can tell me? It's a new thing. We use it to make clouds in crafting. Students, can you tell me what's the name? It's maybe, what is it? You can tell me? So I don't have enough time, but I always ask students to identify stuff. I know that actually works. So what are we going to do? We're going to put cotton wool here like this, okay? Then we're going to take our charcoal, oopsie, and put it like this. Make it sure it doesn't spill because I made a mistake there, but it doesn't matter now. And then we put another one. So we have one big fluff, and then we have the charcoal, and then we have another one. Why? Because This one takes the big dirt. This one cleans it, and this one takes a bit more dirt. Okay, let's see what is going to happen. And now, since I made a mistake, sorry, I made a very terrible mistake, which happens if you don't pay attention to your own experiments. We need a separate cup for that, which I forgot because I'm looking at the time. So it doesn't work if you're time constrained, don't do it. So we have a cup with 3 holes at the bottom. I am ready to try. Are you ready? I think this should clean our water. Let's clean it. Sorry. So let's see. Is this going to clean our water? Okay. Let's wait. Look at it. You can already see it's brown at the top. It's white at the bottom. Look, this one keeps the dirt. Then this one cleans it a little bit. And this is already white. Look. I mean, transparent. It means no color. So let's see. Which one do you think is the best? Can we vote? Is it number 1? Is it number 2? No. Yeah, that was number 2. Is it number 2? Is it number 3? Or is it number 4? Can I see some numbers? You can show me with your hands. Who wants to show me with their hands? Which number? 3. Okay. Ben, do you know? Can you show me the number? Show me. 2. Okay. So I think my time is up. I'm going to say thank you for watching the experiment. Anita is also grateful for cleaning the water. And as you can see, these are 2 steps. One is for very young learners. The other one is maybe for 7 years old. And then maybe at 8, we can use the big filter and do it for real. So I hope you had fun and I hope you learned something. Number 1, don't forget to check the ingredients. Number 2, dramatize. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. That's normal. 3, ask the kids, what are you doing? Ask them questions. And 4, let them vote and let them discuss the answers. Thank you so much. That would be all from me.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you. Hi again, everyone. I always love watching Melissa doing these experiments because it reminds me of the days when I used to teach young learners. That's over 2 years ago now. I teach adult students here in Algeria, where I'm located. And this may be the same for some of you. My syllabus is very strict. So yesterday, I taught lesson A044 CGL. And next week, next lesson is going to be A012 WEU. And the students book these lessons, they see the outcomes of the lesson, and so I have no freedom to do these wonderful things that Melissa is doing, and I'm working with adult learners. So when this happened, I decided it's time to start hacking stuff. So of course, I'm keeping the original lesson and the outcomes are, and as Ben mentioned, the lesson might be topic based on food, in which case I'll always try and get in a 5-minute discussion about the environmental impacts of food, as well as looking at food vocabulary, what your favorite food is. There'll be a question like, categorize these different foods in terms of their impact on the environment. And this fits into my hour-long lesson where I have limited flexibility and still enables me to do an environmental angle. So this is why I call it ninja or hacking it. Now, it's easy with a topic-based lesson because you always have an environmental link. Food, transport, it's always there. one I did was communication skills in the workplace, functional language. By the end of the lesson, learners will be better able to persuasively communicate their point of view in a workplace setting. What's the environmental angle on that? Well, it's functional language, and I won't go through all the details of how I created it, starting with making a cup of tea and thinking, but what it ended up is I had time on that day, so I could make an infographic, and this infographic was based on a website called Climate Outreach, and they have a whole booklet on how to communicate climate change. And what I noticed is it's very similar to functional language that might be needed in a business workplace. So my learners went through this, they read the questions and they answered, asking for more questions. What would you like to happen instead? They came up with their own additional questions. It was the same for listen and show you've heard, vital in the workplace as well as for discussing climate change. Lovely phrase, if I understood correctly what you're saying is, and then they came up with their own ones. And my learners were satisfied because they got lesson W0314 CLA, which they'd signed up for with functional language. And I was happy because I ninjaed in some focus on environmental issues. So everyone was happy. So that's my first point. If you have a very constricted syllabus, find ways to bring it in, even if it's 5 or 10 minutes within the existing lesson topic. My second point is slightly longer, which should be coming up any second. Currently, I'm working on my dissertation, and I've been reading a lot by an expert, Zoltan Dernier, and I've just seen such a link between what he's saying about L2 motivation, which is his big area, and environmental engagement of students. We want to recreate this feeling. I mean, do you remember feeling like this in the flow, engaged in your classes at school? For adults, it's slightly different. We want to achieve the same thing. So how can we do it? Well, the first thing is the learning space and time. Now, one thing you don't need to do to get this is to be an environmental expert. I'm not. I have a degree in English literature, and you might not be, but you can create this learning space and time by all the things you normally do, managing this space, facilitating, getting the peers to have an atmosphere of trust, because just like learning L2, talking about environmental issues can make learners nervous. They may feel that they don't know things that they should do. They may hear these things like 2 degrees of warming. Why is it important? They may be scared to mention it. So getting that atmosphere of trust where people can make mistakes and take risks, vital for L2 learning, and also for increasing environmental literacy. And of course, it's all the normal things that we are experts in. We may not be Greta Thunberg or a climate scientist, but we know how to set up classrooms where collaboration happens, community of inquiry. I loved an example of this we saw a couple of minutes ago. Milica didn't know what the thing for ants was, so she asked everyone, don't be afraid, this is a great learning opportunity. And I had a similar idea, which was, I have decided I want to live in a more sustainable way, but I have no idea to go about it. Can you get into groups and brainstorm advice for your teachers, for your teacher? which then leads to the next thing. What the learner experience, vital for second language learning and vital for increasing environmental literacy. The one thing we want to avoid is eco-anxiety, because that is often a long day. It also leads to no action. So we need a positive and empowered atmosphere, focused on solutions. That's a great way to go about it. Certainly no guilt and no lecturing. So don't say, I came on my bicycle today. How did you travel? And my students will say, my car, the traffic. So they brainstorm some ideas on how to make my life more sustainable. I'll then ask them to make a checklist of the 5 things I can do that will fit into my lifestyle, empowering them. So now another thing is really focusing on the power being with the learner here. And so I'm going to look at co-creation of the learning space now. We as teachers often feel that we have to really plan everything. And Melitza's just given a reason why we shouldn't, especially with outdoor activities, but we can plan and design the task. We can design the space of our classroom, the tables, or Melitza can go off and check that it's a safe outdoor environment. I can't, because I can't go outdoors. And we can have a suggested interaction, but what we can't actually do is design what the learners actually do. And we shouldn't anyway. I mean, I can speak particularly for adult learners who have very clear ideas of what they want things. So maybe as teachers, we can ask them, what would you like to find out? Or I want to find out this. How can we go about it? And let them learning it us. Now, I can't see my clock. I know I should be finishing. Oh, I've got about 2 minutes left, just about time, so we still have time for questions. Over the years in ELT, I've been in the beginning told, stop talking about students, talk about learners. Now the risk is here, and there's increasing research to move away from this view of the learner and to look more at the person, because focusing on the learner, we forget individual identities. Is the person in your classroom a cook, a football fan, an environmentalist? We need to learn more about this. And I'm coming back to Zoltan Dernier again. And I'm going to try and, I want to write a book. I decided this yesterday. I want to write a book about the L2 motivation theories based on the self and apply it to environmental issues. And I'll give you all signed copies if you remind me when I've written it. But anyway, we've got the ought to self of language learners, which is, I must pass this exam. I must get IELTS. We got the learning, imagining himself at an international conference in years to come, presenting in English and getting a round of applause. What about the eco ought to self? I had a student the other day saying, we keep hearing about climate change, but no one tells us what we should do. Students are feeling this ought to, but they don't always have a clear idea of what should be done. And we can really cater to that, allowing them to explore how they can fulfill this. And the eco future self, how does it fit into their future selves? Well, obviously they want to live on a planet that's habitable, so that fits in. They may wish to live in a city where they can cycle everywhere, or they may wish a car. The American guy, Elon Musk's one. Anyway, they might want one of those. That's for them to decide. So a good part of this is goal setting. So maybe the teacher might say, let's make a 5-point plan to reduce our environmental impact over the coming years that makes our lives better. Speak to 5 people, find out how this could happen. So those are my points. I'm going to stop sharing now because we should have some time now, about 10 minutes for questions. And Melissa, Ben, and I would be really glad to talk to you on any questions. So thank you.
Maybe Elaine, while the questions
Feel
start,
free
maybe.
to.
Sorry for interrupting. Maybe you can say something about the course while we get questions, while we wait.
Sorry, Ben.
Oh, yes, that's right. So, yes, as well as knowing far too much about olives and olive oil, I know far too much. I'm also the lead tutor on the ELT Sustainables course for teachers, language teaching for the planet. And it's an excellent opportunity for teachers and educators to explore how to integrate sustainability issues into the everyday teaching. Owen, can you bring up the presentation? Just put on number 6. Cool. So the course runs for approximately 2 weeks, and it runs through a combination of input materials on our course platform and also asynchronous conversation and collaboration with other course participants. So to give you an overview of what we look at, the first unit is all about building our online community of teachers and then exploring the sustainability and green issues that matter to you and your learners, your people. And there are participants on each course from across the globe. The course I'm running at the moment has teachers from Hong Kong, Japan, South Africa, Algeria, Spain. You get an opportunity, a unique opportunity, I think, to work with teachers that you normally wouldn't even cross paths with. And then the second module, we start to explore materials that have a sustainable twist. So you'll review some existing materials which integrate sustainability, and then you'll begin to explore the ways you can do this yourself effectively in a way that's engaging and motivating for your students. And then the final module puts what you've learned into practice as you design some teaching material with a green focus, and that comes with feedback and collaboration from everyone involved on the course. The community is a really central aspect in this. So both in the terms of the way that we sort of foster an online community of teachers, but also how a community of inquiry can shape the learning experience and the learning outcomes. And when I took the course almost a year ago, I found it transformational in terms of how I integrate sustainability. And I know that many ex-participants will back me up on this. Something interesting that's coming out of the current cohort is the idea that what happens inside the class, what the teacher and the students are exploring, it needs to empower the learner, it needs to empower the people in the room so that they then move outside the classroom into the wider community and start to take action. It's really quite powerful stuff. So I think if you're looking for guidance on how to integrate these issues, perhaps because you're just getting started engaging with Green ELT, or perhaps because you need a boost, I highly recommend it. So for more information, you can head over to eltsustainable.org. There's a free mini course available right now. And if you join our mailing list, you'll be the first to know about signing up to be part of the next cohort. And now, time for Q&A.
All right, excellent.
We have a
Well,
question
thanks, everyone.
from Chris.
Yep. So, just to say thanks very much to ELT Sustainable for that. We do have a couple of mins for questions. Great to see you all here. Thanks for joining the conference. So we've got a question from Chris Etchells, who's speaking later today. What is your opinion on students using their own language during project word like this? So maybe if we say, Milica, what's your opinion on that? I'm interested in.
Well, personally, it doesn't happen too much. I think it's how you organize the class. So I let them use it, but I always use a moderator, because when I do this, they're either mixed groups, and let's be honest, it's not the same level. It's never the same level. So I take one child, let it be the teacher assistant, and if they need a word, the other child says to another child. So I am using this proxy of a little teacher to explain stuff so that I don't have to say anything. And I'm speaking exclusively in English. I'm pointing, describing, and waiting. I think we shouldn't hurry with that. But I am not using English, and I let the kids use them with translating among each other. So I don't participate, I just observe.
Right.
That's what I do. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. I wonder, Ben and Owen, if you have anything from your experience of the classroom to add to that.
Owen?
Generally, my classes are English is encouraged within the classroom setting. However, it's a complex topic, and also I want them to engage with this topic outside in their L1. So I think that there's quite a good case for allowing a fair amount of L1 into the classroom, particularly in developing the comprehension. I think with adult learners that you're quite able to say, well, you might need to do this in English. How would you do it in English? Or you're going to be doing this outside in L1. So I'm quite liberal about it.
Yes, I think as long as if I'm doing a project or a sustainable task, if I've been quite savvy in the design of the task, so that I know that there's language coming out of it and there's language input as well. If my students are needing their L1 to engage with the topic fully, and as Owen's saying, if they're then going to move outside the classroom and they need the L1 to use this topic in their daily lives, I think it's a valid assumption that they will be using both.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. I think it's an interesting thing about, it goes into the wider discussion of L1, L2 that's been in ELT, well, for as long as we've been doing in ELT, I think. Okay, we're coming up to close, but I've got one question I'd like to ask you. So here we are on Earth Day at our conference on this day for teachers, although there'll be lots of academic managers and other people joining us. And we had a day yesterday for English UK Member Centre managers and academic managers. I'd like to ask you very quickly, because we're running short of time, what would you say or encourage teachers to do in terms of their working in their organisation and how they can encourage their organisation to include this sort of angle in the courses that they develop? Because I worry that there might be quite well-meaning people that want to do this, but it just doesn't fit the courses as they're set in their organisation. So maybe, Owen, if I come to you first and then we'll open it to others. So what would you say about how can people encourage it in their organisation?
Really good question. And it's particularly interesting from me because I am an academic manager, and at the same time, I don't feel like that gives me a great deal of power to change syllabuses and things that we use. So I think that it's got to be bottom up, grassroots, and that's when enough teachers are doing it, that will drive the institution to change, because even a well-meaning manager may not be able to bring about this change.
Thank you. And Ben, anything to add? And then I'll come to Milica for the end.
Yeah, I would, of course, fully agree with Owen. And I think the more teachers that are engaging with it and talking about it, the more likely it is that we can affect change in syllabus design and course design, and that it becomes more mainstream. But I think as well, we don't need to be talking about whole concrete environmental lessons. There's a way to hack and to sort of subtly bring an environmental twist to any topic, so that environmental and sustainable issues can be a running theme through our language classes rather than the language class themselves.
Thank you. Okay, and we are running out of time, so Milica, if I can ask you for the 60-second answer max,
Okay,
that'd be great.
60-second answer, quick. So first of all, I think just like Owain, it needs to start from the bottom. And when we get to elementary school, it's too late. As a preschool teacher, I'm always advocating for getting close to nature before we pile on sustainability. So just as I said to Owain the other day, we're talking about nature without talking about nature. Does that make sense? So that's my point of view. Go outside, make little kids love nature. And then when they go to elementary school, it becomes natural. So as popularized, mainstream.
Interesting. Perfect. Thank you.
Short.
Gold star for the timekeeping as well. Well done. All right. Okay. We have overrun slightly, which is absolutely fine. We do have to bring it to an end, I'm afraid, because we've got to get the room ready for the next session. So there'll be more on this later. We've got Chris Etchell speaking, and of course our closing plenary from British Council on these issues. So thanks so much for everyone for joining. There's plenty more time to engage. Thank you so much from me, and I'm sure all the attendees, to ELT Sustainable, to Ben, Owen and Milica for a fascinating session. So great start to the day. Hope you enjoy the rest of the day, wherever you may go, whatever you may do. Please stick around the conference. That would be great. And thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope to see you in the session soon. All right.
Thank you very much,
everyone. Bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you, everyone.